So as you know, or you probably just figured it out, I've been really, really sick. And I'm actually headed back to bed in a few minutes, but it just, Molly, stop. Molly's just wants to play. I had an appointment today, so I actually had to get up, peel myself out of bed, and get dressed. And it was such a chore. I was so exhausted. This week, I think I've been asleep since Monday evening, pretty much around the clock. It's an interesting thing, interesting conversation about being sick. And as you know, I'm home alone. And just follow me here because my train of thought is all over the place. My youngest child just left for college a few weeks ago. And of course, my oldest child, Zach, moved out a few years ago. So I'm home alone now with the Danes, which is great. We're all excited about life and everybody's doing wonderful. But then I got sick. So it's a scary thing when you're really sick. And I was actually traveling through the whole month of August. And during the month of August in the Midwest, across 10 states, there was like an epidemic of this respiratory virus. And so I was reading about that. Somebody sent me the link when they heard that I was sick with this thing. And it turned out I was in 2 of those states during the peak outbreak time, the month of August when school started back. Molly, cut it out. Anyway, so what was my point? I don't know if I have the energy to get through this or not. Bear with me. So I was reading the article that someone sent me and I actually shared that article on Facebook. And in the article, it was talking about a 13-year-old boy in Colorado who had been hospitalized because he couldn't breathe. And his parents said it was the scariest moment because he was laying there on the couch and he turned white as a sheet and his lips turned blue and they had to rush him to the hospital and put him on a respirator or whatever. And it kind of freaked me out because I was feeling like a dragon, like I was breathing fire. Every time I breathe in or breathe out, it was like fire. My lungs were on fire or my bronchial tubes or whatever. So I had a really bad case of bronchitis, obviously. And anyway, I thought to myself, gosh, what if that happens to me in the middle of the night, you know? And that's a scary feeling. It's a scary thought when you're home alone. So then I got all paranoid. And anyway, so I went to the doctor pretty quick. Woke up on Monday morning, a week ago Monday, extremely sick. And so I just took some NyQuil and went back to bed. But within 48 hours, I knew that I was getting progressively worse and I could feel that, you know, that fire every time I would breathe and stuff. So I just went ahead and went to the doctor. So the doctor does what doctors do, and she gave me steroids. She gave me a Z-Pack antibiotic. And she gave me some cough syrup with codeine, right? And also some cough syrup little pills or whatever for daytime. Although codeine keeps me wide awake, as do steroids. So for that entire period of time, 5 or 6 days, however long I was on all that medication, I only slept like 90 minutes at a time. And I was otherwise like wired, which was horrible because I would really love to have slept through that whole thing. So I'll say, historically speaking, steroids, prednisone, however you say that, and codeine separately make me a little nuts. And actually all medication does. I have the weirdest effects of medication, like NyQuil keeps me up, Dayquil knocks me out. I just have the weirdest reactions to medication, so I'm actually really cautious about the medicines that I take. But you throw steroids and codeine in together, and look, I was just down the rabbit hole, off the deep end. So then I was in worse shape. Then I was not only, you know, like concerned, like what if I stop breathing, or what if I can't breathe, or how am I going to drive myself to the hospital, or, you know, all these different things. But then on top of that, then I'm medicated. And so I'm off the deep end. I'm really just in bad shape. And it really made me think about the fact that this is just really common. You know, when you get sick, or if you have anything wrong with you, let's say you're depressed, and you go to the doctor, what are they going to do? They're going to send you home alone with a bottle of pills. A whole bottle. It's like, here you go. If you really want to do yourself in, let me give you the tools. I don't really understand that. I really don't. And one of the things these medications do is they really take away your inhibitions, or whatever it is that makes you want to like get up and do stuff every day, you know, the give a damn or whatever. It completely takes that away. And so I don't necessarily think it's a great thing. Molly has a snake. I don't necessarily think it's a great thing for people to, you know, go to the pharmacy and load up on all these pills or whatever and then go home alone. What if, you know, you had a bad reaction to the medication? What if you had an allergic reaction to the medication and your whole head swelled up and like you exploded in a million pieces in the middle of the night, you know? It's just not okay. It's a funny thing, like trying to get help, like when you really need it. Like medical help or what have you. So I had actually considered checking myself in at the hospital because, number one, they don't care if you're contagious, so it's really the only people you can see or be around. She's biting me. Anyway, I considered checking myself into the hospital, you know, to just let them take care of me, because I was in really, really bad shape. I'm actually feeling fabulous now, believe it or not. Well, that might be a little bit of an overstatement because I'm about to crawl right back in the bed. Anyway, my point is, they don't really want you there. Like, their job is to kind of rush you in and rush you out as quickly as possible. So when I went on Monday, I went to the hospital for chest x-rays just to make sure, rule out pneumonia, do blood work to rule out mono, because I was not responding at all to the treatment. So I went through an entire, you know, pack of the steroid pills, went through an entire bottle of codeine cough syrup, went through an entire antibiotic, and was just worse, or not getting better at all. And so my doctor, I saw my doctor that day, and she said, I want you to just go ahead and go over to the hospital because they're going to run all the same tests anyway when they do the chest x-rays, blah, blah, blah. And she wanted me to actually go check in and get tended. It was going to be impossible for Molly to be quiet and not slurp water and go crazy. Sorry. She's a puppy, by the way. She's a Great Dane puppy. She's just a little baby, so sorry about that. I was really thinking this would be a good week for me to sing karaoke. I forgot where I was. So, I was way out of it. I had just finished all that medication. Like I said, the combination of steroids and codeine alone, I don't respond well to. So throw those in there together, and I was really off the deep end. Like, I didn't even know what day it was. So my doctor, when I saw her that day, said, I would like for you to go ahead and check into the hospital, let them go ahead and run a round of tests, and I'm really concerned about, number one, the fact that you didn't respond to the medication, and number two, the way you did respond to it. So anyway, they had me in and out of there in 2 hours. The fact that I drove myself to that appointment really was shocking. The fact that they let me drive myself home was even more shocking to me. So this really concerns me. You know, number one, and then this is, of course, a problem here in America, and I don't know how it is in other places. So medical care is expensive. Prescriptions are very expensive. And just the whole method and the whole practice of sending you home with medication, and here, let's see if this works. Let's try this. Oh, you're feeling sad? How about some Zoloft? A whole bottle for you to take home with you and put right beside your bed while you sleep at night. Makes no sense at all to me. I tried that one time, by the way, and don't judge me. For those of you who have never ever tried something like that, ever in your whole life, you know you self-medicated. Like, you know, there's been times when you drank a couple of glasses of wine because you had a bad day or whatever. So I had a series of bad days one time, years and years ago, and decided to, well, I didn't decide, my doctor decided. She's like, have you ever tried Zoloft? Like, that's what women your age take. So I'm like, okay. And it seemed like a good idea at the time because I was really struggling. And man, I mean, if I thought I was crazy ever, you should have seen me on Zoloft. Fortunately, there was still this little bitty part of me inside the back of my head that was lucid enough on day 3 of that stuff to realize this is not okay at all. So I kind of, you know, had a bad reaction to that as well. So at any rate, I'm doing much better. Just to give you a quick update, I'm sleeping around the clock. I feel absolutely drained. I feel drugged, actually, and I'm on nothing at the moment. I'm using a prescription inhaler and taking some Advil now and then. But I feel drained, and that's since I got the steroids out of my system, which I, finally finished that pack, and then I did nothing but drink water to flush it out of my system. And I can tell that it's out of my system because I'm sleeping around the clock, recovering from all that, I guess. And still very sick, obviously, of course, but not feeling half as bad. The fact that I can talk without, coughing my lungs out is huge improvement. And the fact that I'm excited about getting well, that's a big improvement too. Just something to think about, if your family or your friends are sick or they have to go on some medication. Like personally, I think if you have to go on medication, then you should be admitted. So if you're going to go on crazy meds, go to the mental hospital. If you're, going on regular meds, go to the regular hospital. I just think people should be admitted. If you were on Little House on the Prairie and you were as sick as I was, well, they would probably shoot you. Like if you're a horse. Not just if you were a horse, but if you were a horse. But anyway, they would take you to the schoolhouse or the church, or maybe it was both back then. And you would lay on a cot and you would be treated, like there, because you would be practically on your deathbed back in those days, right? Or you would go home to your family of 8, and everybody would take care of you. But it's just not like that anymore. So I think it's, really important if you're home alone, or if you're going to be alone most of the time even, and you get sick, or you have to take some certain medication or try a new medication for whatever. You never know what the side effects are going to be. And I'm just rambling on just to say that I think it's dangerous for them to just be shelling out prescriptions and sending people home with them. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I would love to hear them. And of course, I'll be asleep probably when you comment, but I'll be back soon to see what you have to say.